Let me ask you a question that might make you uncomfortable. Why do some people rise, grow, and dominate their field while others stay stuck for years, doing the same things, getting the same results, and secretly wondering if this is all life has to offer? It's not because of intelligence. It's not because of luck. It's not even because of resources. The real difference is what they believe about themselves, about life, and about what's possible. Most people are not held back by lack of ability. They are held back by invisible beliefs that run their lives like a silent operating system. And the tragedy is this: they don't even know those beliefs are there. They feel real. They feel logical. They feel true. But they are lies that quietly destroy momentum, confidence, and action. The first limiting belief is, I'm not enough, not smart enough, not confident enough, not talented enough. This belief sneaks in early, usually through comparison or criticism, and it becomes an identity. Once you believe you're not enough, you hesitate. You shrink your goals. You wait for permission. You play small not because you want to, but because you're trying to avoid pain. And every time you avoid, you reinforce the belief. Success never comes from proving you are enough. It comes from deciding that you are enough and acting from that place. The second limiting belief is, I need to be ready first. People say they need more knowledge, more money, more time, more confidence. But readiness is a myth. No one ever feels ready before they grow. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. The belief that you must be ready keeps you in preparation mode forever. You read, you watch, you plan, you wait. Meanwhile, life rewards those who move before certainty arrives. Growth happens in motion, not in waiting rooms. The third limiting belief is, if I fail, it means something is wrong with me. This belief turns failure into a personal attack. So people avoid risk, avoid bold moves, avoid anything where rejection is possible. But failure is not a verdict on who you are. It's feedback, it's data, it's a teacher. The most successful people fail more than anyone else because they are willing to try more than anyone else. When you stop seeing failure as identity and start seeing it as instruction, your entire relationship with action changes. The fourth limiting belief is, success will cost me too much. People believe that if they succeed, they'll lose relationships, freedom, happiness, or peace. So on a subconscious level, they sabotage themselves to stay safe. They tell themselves stories like, money changes people, or success creates pressure. The truth is, success doesn't ruin lives, unresolved beliefs do. Success only amplifies who you already are, and if you don't believe you can have success and fulfillment together, you'll always choose comfort over growth. The fifth limiting belief is, other people have something I don't. This belief puts success outside of you. It says others were born lucky, connected, gifted, or chosen. And once you believe that, comparison becomes poison. You stop learning from successful people and start resenting them. But success is not reserved for a special type of person. It's built by standards, habits, and decisions repeated consistently over time. When you stop asking why them and start asking, how did they think, act, and decide, you take your power back. The sixth limiting belief is, it's too late for me. This belief is brutal because it steals hope. People tell themselves they missed their chance, that time is against them, that they should have started earlier. But the past does not define the future unless you let it. Every moment you spend regretting yesterday is a moment you could be investing in tomorrow. Time will pass anyway. The only real question is whether you'll use it to reinforce your excuses or build a new identity. The seventh limiting belief is, I can't change who I am. This is the most dangerous belief of all. It locks people into patterns they hate and convinces them that struggle is permanent. But human beings are not fixed. Identity is flexible. Personality is shaped by repeated behavior. The moment you change what you do consistently, you change who you become. You are not your past. You are not your habits. You are not your mistakes. You are the one who decides what those things mean. Here's the truth: most people never hear your beliefs are not facts. They are decisions you made, often unconsciously, to protect yourself from pain. But protection has a price, and that price is your potential. The quality of your life will never rise above the quality of beliefs you live by. If you want success, real success, you must be willing to question the stories you've been telling yourself. You must replace excuses with standards. You must trade comfort for growth. And you must decide, not someday, not when conditions are perfect, but now, that your future will no longer be dictated by limiting beliefs created in your past. The moment you change what you believe is possible, you change what you're willing to do. And the moment you change what you're willing to do, everything in your life begins to move. Most people are not failing because they lack intelligence, resources, or opportunity. They are failing because they are operating under beliefs they have never questioned. These beliefs form quietly, often early in life, shaped by experiences, authority figures, and emotional moments that left a strong impression. Over time, these ideas become assumptions about what is possible, what is safe, and what is realistic. Once a belief is accepted, the mind begins to look for evidence to prove it right, even if that belief is limiting. This is how people can work hard, stay busy, and still feel stuck year after year. Invisible beliefs control behavior at a level most people never notice. They influence what goals feel achievable, what risks feel dangerous, and what actions feel uncomfortable. A person may say they want success, but if they believe success is only for lucky or gifted people, their actions will never fully align with that desire. They hesitate, procrastinate, or settle for less, not because they are lazy, but because their belief system is protecting them from perceived pain. The brain is designed to avoid pain more than it seeks pleasure, and limiting beliefs exploit that instinct. When someone believes they are not good enough, not deserving, or not capable, they unconsciously lower their standards. They choose familiar discomfort over unfamiliar possibility. They repeat patterns that feel safe even when those patterns produce frustration and regret. These beliefs don't shout, they whisper. They sound like logic, caution, or realism. They say things like, "This is just how life is," or "People like me don't get that far." Because they feel rational, they are rarely challenged. Opportunity is often right in front of people, but beliefs act like blindfolds. Two people can face the same situation and see completely different realities. One sees a chance to grow, the other sees a reason to retreat. The difference is not intelligence or courage, but interpretation. Beliefs shape interpretation, and interpretation drives emotion, which drives action. Change the belief, and the entire chain reaction shifts. Until a person becomes aware of the beliefs running their life, they will continue to repeat the same results. Effort alone will not break this cycle. Motivation alone will not override it. The first real breakthrough happens when someone realizes that what they believe may not be true, and that the limits they feel are not walls, but stories they have been telling themselves for years. Waiting to feel ready is one of the most socially accepted ways people stay stuck. It sounds responsible, intelligent, and mature, but in reality it is fear wearing the mask of preparation. People convince themselves they need more information, more confidence, more support, or more certainty before they take action. What they are really saying is that they want a guarantee before they risk discomfort. Life does not work that way. Growth has never required readiness, it has always required movement. Confidence is not something you find, it is something you build. It is created through experience, through doing things imperfectly, through surviving moments that once felt overwhelming. When people wait to feel confident, they delay the very experiences that would create confidence in the first place. This creates a loop where hesitation feeds doubt and doubt feeds more hesitation. Over time, the belief that "I'm not ready" becomes part of their identity, and they begin to see themselves as someone who prepares rather than someone who acts. The truth is that no one feels ready when stepping into something bigger than their current identity. Readiness only exists for what you have already done. The moment you attempt something new, uncertainty is guaranteed. The people who succeed are not those who feel fearless, but those who are willing to move while fear is present. They understand that clarity comes after action, not before it. The path reveals itself as you walk it. Perfectionism often hides behind the idea of readiness. People want the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions. But perfection is just another way to avoid judgment and failure. By waiting for the ideal moment, they protect their ego from the possibility of being seen trying and struggling. Yet every meaningful breakthrough requires exposure, vulnerability, and a willingness to look unpolished at the beginning. Action creates momentum, and momentum changes emotional state. The smallest step forward can shift how a person thinks and feels. Once movement begins, energy follows. New resources appear, solutions become visible, and learning accelerates. Waiting keeps everything theoretical. Action makes everything real. Those who build extraordinary lives understand that readiness is a decision, not a feeling. They choose to act before they feel prepared because they know that preparation without execution leads nowhere, and that the only way to become capable of more is to step into more before you believe you are ready. The way people interpret failure determines how far they are willing to go. When failure is seen as a personal flaw, every mistake becomes a threat to identity. People start to equate results with self-worth, and the fear of being wrong becomes stronger than the desire to grow. This belief quietly trains them to avoid situations where failure is possible, which also means avoiding situations where success is possible. Safety becomes the priority, and potential is slowly traded for comfort. Failure itself is neutral. It carries no meaning until it is interpreted. Two people can experience the same setback and walk away with completely different outcomes. One sees proof that they are incapable, while the other sees information about what doesn't work. The event is the same, but the meaning assigned to it shapes the future. When failure is treated as feedback, it becomes a tool instead of a weapon. It shows what needs adjustment, where skill must improve, and what strategy must change. Most breakthroughs are built on layers of failed attempts. Progress rarely comes in a straight line. It comes through trial, error, and refinement. Yet many people expect themselves to perform perfectly the first time. This unrealistic expectation creates shame when reality doesn't match the fantasy. Shame shuts down learning. It causes people to hide, justify, or quit instead of adapt and grow. The belief that failure means something is wrong with you creates emotional pain that far outweighs the failure itself. Those who succeed at high levels develop a different relationship with failure. They anticipate it. They plan for it. They understand that failure is part of the process, not evidence of incompetence. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift keeps emotion from hijacking progress. It allows action to continue even when results are imperfect. Avoiding failure may protect pride in the short term, but it guarantees stagnation in the long term. Every skill, every strength, every level of mastery is built through repetition and correction. Without failure, there is no refinement. Without feedback, there is no growth. The moment failure stops being a judgment and starts becoming instruction, fear loses its grip and forward motion becomes possible. Many people secretly believe that success will take something away from them. They associate achievement with stress, pressure, isolation, or the loss of relationships. This belief often comes from observing others who appeared successful but unhappy, or from messages that suggest ambition leads to emptiness. As a result, the mind creates a false association between growth and pain. When success is linked to loss, the brain resists it even when the conscious mind claims to want more. This belief creates self-sabotage at critical moments. Just as progress begins to build, people slow down, procrastinate, or create unnecessary problems. On the surface, it looks like bad luck or poor timing. Underneath, it is an internal conflict. One part of the mind wants success, while another part wants safety. Since the brain is wired to prioritize survival and emotional comfort, safety usually wins. The person stays in familiar territory, even if it feels frustrating and limiting. The idea that success demands sacrifice of happiness is a misunderstanding of cause and effect. Success does not create stress, lack of alignment does. Pressure comes from chasing outcomes that conflict with values or from trying to prove worth instead of expressing it. When success is pursued from a place of fear or validation, it feels heavy. When it is pursued from purpose and growth, it feels energizing. The belief that success itself is the problem prevents people from exploring healthier ways to achieve it. Another version of this belief is the fear of responsibility. With greater success comes greater expectations, and some people fear they will not be able to handle them. Rather than developing the skills and mindset to manage responsibility, they avoid situations that would require it. This keeps life predictable but small. Growth always brings new challenges, but it also brings new capacities. Avoiding success does not eliminate pressure. It simply trades meaningful pressure for chronic dissatisfaction. When someone releases the belief that success must cost them peace, connection, or freedom, their behavior changes immediately. They stop pulling back when momentum builds. They allow themselves to expand without guilt. They realize that success does not have to be a burden, and that they can design a life where growth and fulfillment exist together instead of in opposition. The belief that other people have something you don't is one of the fastest ways to give away personal power. It places success outside of you and turns it into a matter of luck, background, or privilege rather than behavior and mindset. When people adopt this belief, they stop seeing success as something they can build and start seeing it as something that is granted to others. This creates distance between where they are and where they want to be, making progress feel unrealistic and out of reach. Comparison feeds this belief constantly. People look at the results of others without seeing the effort, failure, discipline, or time invested behind the scenes. They compare their beginning to someone else's middle or end, and then use that distorted view as evidence that they are lacking. Over time, this comparison erodes confidence and replaces curiosity with resentment. Instead of asking how success is created, they focus on why it seems unfair. When success is perceived as something external, motivation weakens. Why fully commit if the outcome is already decided by factors beyond your control? This mindset encourages excuses and lowers standards. People begin to explain away their inaction by pointing to circumstances, connections, or talent they believe others were born with. In reality, most high-level success is the result of invisible habits repeated consistently over time. Standards, not advantages, create extraordinary outcomes. The most successful individuals study others differently. They don't idolize or envy, they analyze. They look for patterns in thinking, decision-making, and behavior. They understand that if someone else achieved a result, there is a process behind it. That process can be learned, adapted, and applied. This shifts focus from what others have to what can be developed. The moment someone stops comparing and starts modeling, everything changes. Energy that was wasted on envy is redirected into growth. Instead of feeling small in the presence of success, they feel informed and inspired. They reclaim responsibility for their progress and realize that success is not a limited resource reserved for a chosen few, but a skill-based outcome available to anyone willing to adopt the habits, standards, and mindset required to create it. The belief that you cannot change who you are is the final lock that keeps people trapped in lives they no longer want. It convinces them that personality, habits, and emotional patterns are fixed, permanent, and beyond their control. When people believe this, they stop expecting more from themselves. They begin to justify behavior instead of challenging it. Phrases like, "that's just how I am," become excuses that protect comfort while quietly destroying potential. Identity is not something you are born with fully formed. It is shaped through repeated actions and reinforced by the stories you tell yourself about those actions. Every habit you practice becomes evidence for who you believe you are. When the same behaviors repeat long enough, they feel permanent. But permanence is an illusion created by consistency. Change the pattern, and the identity begins to shift. The problem is not inability, but attachment to a familiar self-image. Most people underestimate how quickly identity can change when standards change. Standards are the rules you set for what you accept and what you refuse to tolerate in your own life. When standards remain low, behavior stays the same. When standards rise, behavior is forced to follow. This is not about willpower, it is about decision. The moment someone decides that certain behaviors are no longer acceptable, new actions emerge almost immediately. The brain adapts to what it repeatedly does. New behaviors create new neural pathways, and new pathways create new emotional responses. This means that discipline, confidence, and resilience are not traits you either have or don't have. They are skills developed through repetition. The idea that change takes a long time often becomes another excuse to delay starting. In reality, Momentum can shift in a single decision, and identity begins to evolve the moment behavior changes. When people let go of the belief that they are stuck as they are, responsibility returns to their hands. They stop blaming the past, circumstances, or personality. They realize that while they cannot change what has happened, they can change what they do next. With new standards, new actions, and new commitments, the version of themselves they once believed was fixed starts to dissolve, replaced by someone shaped intentionally rather than by habit.